responsible to stay here.
Rome's medical school has never seen anything quite like it.
Professor Severino Antinori said hundreds of couples have already agreed to take part in his experiment.
These two scientists claim they're about to do something that many believe is both dangerous and wrong.
The genie is out of a bottle.
Something so extraordinary that it could alter the very evolution of our species.
We don't need any permissions from anybody.
They say that next month, in a secret laboratory, they will try to clone a human being.
Please be careful.
But in the last few months, new research has revealed hidden dangers so terrifying that most scientists now believe human cloning would be disastrous. So is science really ready to clone a human?
Can I have a word with you? Where are you going?
I think I'm needed elsewhere.
Can I? Cloning techniques. Give me a rundown. State of the art so far.
Cloning? Cloning is replication, making a copy of an individual from a single cell of that individual. Clones? Clones retain characteristics of original organism.
Go on. Go on.
Cloning will be a completely new way of making a human being. Instead of the combination of father's sperm and mother's egg that makes each of us unique, cloning will create a baby from a single cell, from a single person. The clone will be an identical genetic copy.
Cloning does not create anything new. It creates a genetic copy of an existing being. People have an extraordinary emotional reaction to cloning because it conjures up all sorts of images. Duplication, the images from science fiction of factory reproduction, and it really makes them face the notion that our technology is going to allow us to intervene even in the most intimate processes of our lives. So this is really big stuff.
Whatever its opponents say, there are people who will try the new technology. For infertile couples who cannot make babies with sperm and eggs, cloning is a medical breakthrough that could give them children of their own. Desiree and Matthew are willing to take the first steps into this brave new world. 2 years ago, cancer treatment left Desiree infertile.
I'll look at Matt and I'll look at, people our age, and they're just getting started with their family, and their wife is pregnant, and they're so excited, it's their first baby, and it makes me sad to think that I'll never be able to do that for him.
In desperation, they tried to adopt a child. But at the last moment, the arrangement fell through. Anxious for another solution, Desiree began searching the internet. There she found what she had thought impossible, an extraordinary new way to have a child genetically their own. This was cloning.
And when he got home, I just met him at the door. I was so excited, look, there's, something out there different than what we found.
I think at first I thought she was full of it, and it was just a big hoax on the internet. And then
that's what I thought too.
But the more they found out, the more convinced they became that cloning was a real possibility, and the only one that could give them what they wanted.
And then there was this, there's something else that might help us. So it was a very good good discovery.
It's just like another light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
The men who claim they can help couples like Desiree and Matthew travel the world to champion their cause. Last summer, Dr. Panos Zavos came to Oxford to put the case for cloning to some of the biggest names in British science.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to Oxford Union Debates. Everybody that comes to see us as infertility specialists wants a child yesterday if at all possible, and the second thing is they want a healthy child. Therefore,
Dr. Zavos is not a cloning expert, but at his fertility clinic in Kentucky, he already makes a living from making babies. And at $50,000 a try, cloning will be a lucrative business.
And therefore, everybody needs to understand that we are responsible individuals, understanding the needs of people that are not here tonight. Infertility patients don't rise like everybody else that rises here and wants to make a point. It's a silent disease, and therefore we need to address that.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen,
but many scientists are not impressed.
unethical. What you are doing is incredibly disreputable. What you are doing is utterly appalling. Do you know, I don't mind if you clone a human being, actually, because I think you would get the full force of the law when inevitably you produce an abnormal child and the parent or the child will sue you through the court, and God help you when that happens and you deserve the full force of the law, whether it be in the United States or in Italy.
What Dr. Zavos and his colleagues are proposing has so far only ever been done in animals. They will take an egg from a woman and remove its nucleus, the part which contains her DNA. They will be left with a hollow egg. Next, they will take a cell from the body of the adult who is to be cloned. It's from this cell that they will make a new human being, an identical genetic copy.
The way an adult would be cloned would be you have to take a cell from that adult, and you might be able to get that from a tissue swab in the cheek or from a scraping of skin or from a little biopsy, and the cell would then be taken to the laboratory.
Once they have selected the cell, scientists will take its DNA and insert it into the empty egg. Then they will have to stimulate the egg to begin to grow. They might use an electric shock and add chemicals, the methods used in animals. No one understands how or why, but this process should switch the adult cell back to become the very first cell of life. The new embryo will be grown in a dish for a few days, then implanted into a woman's womb, where it might grow into a human being. This human would be a clone.
Nine months later, you would have a child, and the only difference between that child and a child that had been conceived normally would be that the child would have the exact same genetic constitution as the individual who donated the original tissue, the original nucleus.
It's the promise of that identical genetic constitution that makes some people see cloning as a way to raise the dead. Earlier this year, Al Powell's mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Devastated, he found hope in the idea that cloning could give her a second chance.
I followed the cloning controversy, and then it just kind of, I started thinking